Multiple massive storm systems are expected to hit the US, and a huge pattern change is on the way. Let's get right into today's video. The first thing we're going to be talking about is the weather across Los Angeles, California, as we do have a huge atmospheric reverse storm system dumping tons and tons of rain for portions of Los Angeles and areas along the coast of California as a moderate risk. This is not very common for this region. A moderate risk of flash flooding is in effect from Santa Barbara today all the way over to Los Angeles, Long Beach, where really heavy rainfall could occur from now all the way through the evening hours tonight. Will start to move out of the region later into the day today, but some big time flash flooding is expected across a lot of California, including Los Angeles, and maybe even some heavy rains in Las Vegas regions and portions of the desert. Now, the temperatures across the next 6 to 10 days are going to be very, very warm across much of the central, eastern, and basically the entire U.S., except for portions of Los Angeles and the Nevada and Arizona regions where it's going to be slightly below average, but most of the U.S. is going to be much above average for this time of year with really, really unseasonably warm temperatures that are already occurring right now across much of the U.S., and this is going to continue to the 8 to 14 day outlook with much more above average temperatures expected for much of the U.S. for these regions. But once we get to the end of November, for the rest of November, it's probably going to be pretty unseasonably warm across most of the U.S. But once we get to the end of November and the start of December, I think we're going to see a massive pattern change flip across much of the U.S. as the 3 to 4 week away outlook on the Climate Prediction Center is hinting an area of much below average temperatures ranging all the way from the northern and central U.S. with a predominant ridge over the southeastern part of the U.S., bringing more above average temperatures towards Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Alabama areas through December. So it's probably going to be pretty warm for a lot of the winter for the southeast. Based on the La Nina, I do think it's going to be pretty warm across those areas. But for the northern U.S., big changes are coming. We could finally see that switch from above average to below average temperatures is what the CPC Climate Prediction Center is hinting at for a lot of the U.S. We take a look at a few of the long-range models. We're looking at the GFS extended model. It has this really predominant ridge across much of the U.S., bringing those much above average temperatures across a lot of the U.S. But then we see a huge flip here. Right around December 2nd, we see the flip start to occur on the very start of December to much below average temperatures across basically a lot of the central, eastern, and northern part of the U.S. And this is going to occur for a long time. They're hinting that this pattern of below average temperatures could occur for a while. So if you are a snow lover hoping for snowfall, this is definitely a pattern we are watching with much below average temperatures and maybe more snowfall and more of winter vibes is going to start once we get to December. So it's definitely going to start feeling a lot colder once we get to December as this pattern is really going to lock in for a lot of these areas. Let's see if the European agrees with this. The European thinks the exact same thing. Really warm across the U.S. right now, and then a big switch on the very start of December to much below average temperatures. If we take a look at the Canadian model, it has that too, with even more of that much below average temperatures on the Canadian, hinting that we could be in for a pretty cold and snowy December. Now, what typically happens before we get into this transition from warm to cold weather is a lot of storm systems is going to impact much of the U.S. from now all the way through the rest of November. I do think we could be seeing a lot of big storm systems impacting much of the U.S. over the next few weeks or so, dumping a lot of rain and maybe even snowfall and severe weather across a lot of the U.S. The first major storm system is going to form here on Wednesday through Thursday timeframe into Friday, where we could be seeing a lot of rainfall and potentially even snow in the Colorado Rocky Mountains and maybe even severe weather and more with a lot of flash flooding expected. This could be a big time rainmaker here on Thursday through Friday across a lot of the central U.S. Now, it is still way too far to get into much details on the severe weather side of this system, but all we know is there's going to be a lot of moisture for this time of year that is going to surge in from the Gulf of Mexico that could potentially lead to a severe weather event. We still don't know much about the instability across the U.S. That is definitely could be minimal. The instability across the U.S. is definitely pretty minimal during the time of November. But this sign of a lot of moisture is definitely something we are paying attention for severe weather, so I definitely will be watching this. There's a chance this doesn't bring much severe weather at all, but I do think with this pattern, it definitely is possible. Where it occurs, we don't know yet, and we don't know the level to it, but we are definitely watching that. Now, what we do know about this upcoming storm system, if we look at the national blend of models here, this thing is going to dump an absolute absurd amount of rainfall starting on Thursday through Friday across much of the central and southern U.S. Anywhere in those red and dark red areas are expecting at least 2 to 3, maybe even 4 inches of rainfall in some spots. In those dark reds to browns almost in Oklahoma and Arkansas and Texas, it's sitting at 5 to 6, maybe even 7 inches of rain across parts of these regions, showing we could be in for some flash flooding and a really beneficial rainfall system. So we do know this could be a really impactful system, as we're going to see an absolute absurd amount of rain across these areas on Thursday and Friday, with a ton of rain coming. Alright, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. We are definitely going to be seeing a big weather pattern change that could occur once we get into December, from that extremely warm above average temperatures for the rest of November now to much cooler and maybe even snowier, more wintry weather across portions of December, and definitely a stormy pattern for the rest of November with that big storm system that could be upcoming today. Next week, for portions of a lot of the U.S. here, plus that big storm system that is occurring today in California that is dumping a lot of rain from the atmospheric river. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and bye everybody.